We might look back at this Philadelphia Eagles team as one of the best rosters in maybe NFL history. As constructed, this is a fantastic offense, well-oiled machine, one of the best offensive lines in the NFL consistently, has a really good quarterback, has a good running back, 2,000-yard season, almost broke the record. If he would have played that last game, he would have definitely broke the record, a record that's been around since 1980s, in that time frame. Eric Dickerson's record, A.J. Brown, a beast at the wide receiver position, the top 5 receiver in the league. Devontae Smith, a top 10 receiver potentially. He's in that conversation. Dallas Goedert, a solid tight end, top 15 tight end. Fantastic offensive coordinator. What Kellen Moore did this season, he did a great job. He's definitely going to move on and be the Saints head coach next. Defensively, this is a perfect defense. All 3 levels are fantastic. The secondary is elite. Quinyon Mitchell, you don't see his ass on the screen. He's just that good. He's the type of corner you don't see him on the screen at all. I don't remember seeing him in the game at all. That's just how good he was. And what I did see was drops from DeAndre Hopkins, Kelsey, all the weapons for the Chiefs. They didn't show up. They weren't doing anything. Reed Blankenship, Cooper DeJean, pick 6 in the Super Bowl on his birthday. Played really well. Darius Slay, one of the best corners in Eagles history, maybe. Really great addition for them a couple years ago. Isaiah Rodgers in the nickel. Oren Burks at the backup linebacker position, filling in for Nakobe Dean very perfectly. Zach Bond had an interception in this game. Defensive line, oh my goodness. Don't get me started on this defensive line. Milton Williams and Josh Sweat put on a clinic. They just got themselves paid immensely. Milton Williams had 4 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 TFLs, 1 quarterback hit. He's definitely going to get paid. Only 26 years old. Defensive end / defensive tackle. Really good upside with him. Still a young player and could grow on and be a 10-sack guy and somewhere else. Did very much benefit from having other dominant guys around him. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. But I still think this is a talented player. Had 4 sacks a couple seasons ago with the Eagles too. It's been a very good rotational guy. I think he could definitely be a starter somewhere else and still play really well. There's something to be said about playing to this level in the highest stakes in the biggest game of your career. So Milton Williams just got himself paid. Josh Sweat was cooking Joe Thuney all game. Joe Thuney's the best the Chiefs got. If he's getting cooked, then they're done offensive line wise. Josh Sweat, 2.5 sacks, 2 TFLs, 3 quarterback hits. Yeah. 6 tackles too in that game, so he dominated. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, they were their usual dominant self as well. So Chiefs offensive line couldn't do anything. They couldn't do it. I even seen Nolan Smith just smack Trey Smith off a pull too. That just completely disrupted that play. And Ojamo, defensive tackle from Texas, backup defensive tackle for the Eagles, tackled Pacheco in the backfield for a loss. So it was just a dominant performance from this defense line for the Eagles. And this was one of the most dominant performances we've seen from a defense line in a long time. Patrick Mahomes, one of the great quarterbacks, he looked rattled all game. This was his worst performance. The Chiefs didn't score a touchdown until the third quarter, the end of the third quarter, 29 seconds left in the game. It was just that bad. At the end of the first half, they had 1 first down, 23 total yards. Patrick Mahomes was sacked 3 times and he had 2 turnovers. I feel like this defensive performance by the Eagles was more dominant than the Bucs defense. Just all levels, they were just playing at a high level. Patrick Mahomes couldn't do shit. In that game, Patrick Mahomes, he still was able to be Patrick Mahomes, still making great throws. It was just things weren't clicking. He was still playing well in that game. This game, not so much. In total, the Eagles defense, 11 quarterback hits, 6 sacks, and Patrick Mahomes was pressured on 50% of his dropbacks, 42 dropbacks, and 0 blitz percentage. The Eagles didn't blitz at all in this game, and they got home with 4 guys every single time. So that just speaks volume on this defensive line, like I said, and that speaks volume on Vic Fangio. He was the best assistant coach on the field. Steve Spags, he's a great defensive coach, Hall of Fame defensive coordinator, but he had no answer for the Eagles offense, and Vic Fangio had every answer for Patrick Mahomes in that Chiefs offense. They couldn't do shit. Nothing. He had them in prison. Vic Fangio 0-8 against Patrick Mahomes coming into this game, so this was really nice to see him get his victory and finally get a Super Bowl. One of the best defensive minds in football for a long time. Kellen Moore is going to be the Saints head coach, but Vic Fangio, he's going to be in Philly for a while now, probably, with Nick Sirianni. So Sirianni just has to worry about, replacing offensive coordinator spot. Maybe you promote, the pass game coordinator, promote the quarterback's coach, whatever, and move forward with that. But at least Vic Fangio is going to be around cooking with this defense. This was the 30th best defense last year. And now they're first in damn near every category. And they've been a dominant defense, and they just put on one of the most dominant performances in the Super Bowl. And speaking on Nick Sirianni, he's cultivated a really good coaching staff pretty much every season except for last season. I know Brian Johnson as your offense coordinator, that didn't work out. Other than that season, he's really cultivated a really good coaching staff. Vic Fangio was a phenomenal hire. Jonathan Gannon was a great hire too. And he's a head coach now with the Cardinals. Shane Steichen had a really good first season with the Colts. I think he's a decent coach. Great offense coordinator. He moved on to be a head coach. So he's had success building a good staff. So you got to give him credit in that aspect. People have been coming for Sirianni's head for multiple seasons now. They've been questioning his ability to coach, questioning his ability to do anything of his job title and his responsibilities. But all he's done is win. Only 3 coaches have a 700 career winning percentage and a Super Bowl victory: Vince Lombardi, John Madden, and Nick Sirianni. It's crazy he's in that category, but you got to look at his resume in 4 seasons. It's one of the best starts to a coaching career we've ever seen. Those names: John Madden, Vince Lombardi. His coaching record in the first 4 seasons: 48-20, second all time with 4 seasons, 6-3 in the playoffs, 2-time NFC East champion, 2-time NFC champion, 2 Super Bowl appearances, and 1 Super Bowl championship now. They should have won the last Super Bowl, so he should have 2 Super Bowls, but he's going to probably go down as the best Eagles coach in Eagles history. I see a dynasty forming in Philadelphia. Let's be real. This team's pretty young. Nolan Smith, Carter, Davis, they have a lot of talented young players on this defense. Zach Bond, obviously, you're going to have to re-sign him. There's a couple players you got to re-sign, but how Howie Roseman orchestrates and constructs this team, this roster, it's like they're going to be good every season. They're going to be good every year. You're not surprised how in 2022 they were one of the best teams in the NFL, best defense, offense, all of that. And then you follow that up with this season having an even better roster, getting Saquon Barkley from the Giants, and having the draft you had: Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, those guys, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. Like you hit it out the park. Mekhi Becton, getting him from the Jets, a guy that looked like a bust. And him being just an all-pro level guard talent, like just one of the best guards in the NFL in just 1 season. Just making these kind of decisions, making these kind of roster moves has propelled this team to being one of the best rosters in NFL history, maybe one of the best constructed teams in NFL history. So I see this team continuing this, and they're going to control the NFC moving forward. And beating Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs like they did, stopping the three-peat convincingly, like this game was over in the first quarter. This team's going to be tough to stop. They got their quarterback. They got their receivers locked up. They got Saquon Barkley locked up. Offensive line, for the most part, is locked up. Defense is locked up pretty much. Just Zach Bond, bring him back. Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, those guys you can make decisions on, because Nolan Smith, I feel like he's going to be a 10-sack guy next year. Jalen Carter, Davis up the middle too. They've drafted pretty well. I expect them to draft well again. I wish they could draft Abdul Carter from Penn State, but he's probably going to be the number 1 overall pick, number 2 overall pick, so that's unlikely. But I wish they could get him. He's a Eagles glazer, but I wish they could get him, because could you imagine him and Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter dominating opposing offenses for years to come? I'd be really excited about that. So I don't see this team going anywhere. Like I said, they're young, so the Eagles could have a dynasty moving forward. They could be the team to three-peat. Who knows? I expect to see them in the Super Bowl again next year. Hopefully next time it's against Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. That would be must-see television. I think that's the only quarterback that could have some success against this defensive line with a bad offensive line. The performance he put up against the Eagles, that run game, the run game wasn't as effective with Derrick Henry, but Lamar Jackson making some of the plays, extending how he can. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, those guys can't get after Lamar like they can against Patrick Mahomes, these other quarterbacks. Lamar is just too different at evading pressure. So that's the Super Bowl I want to see next year. But yeah, congrats to the Eagles. They did their thing. Anybody saying Jalen Hurts didn't deserve to win Super Bowl MVP, you're out your damn mind. I know the Eagles put up a dominant performance defensively, but Jalen Hurts in that offense, Jalen Hurts commanding that offense and conducting that offense, 24 points. That was big for this Eagles team. The Chiefs defense is not just a regular defense. They're a really good defense, and Jalen Hurts orchestrated a perfect game against them. 72 yards rushing, kept the chains moving, capitalized off the turnovers that the defense was creating, and just the field position the defense was getting them. Jalen Hurts capitalized on it every single time and kept the ball moving. The time of possession, that offense just kept the defense off the field. The Eagles won in that category, so Jalen Hurts, big props to him. Big performance from him once again, and deservingly so, he won MVP. I definitely think, though, with Patrick Mahomes having another performance like this, getting blown out, and was his worst performance, I don't think he can be in those GOAT conversations with Tom Brady. Not yet. Tom Brady was never getting blown out like this. I know the offensive line was terrible for the Bucs game. I'm not going to give him too much fault for that, but this game against the Eagles, he made a lot of, bad decisions, forced throws, a lot of, the offense inability to push the ball downfield and make anything happen was on Patrick Mahomes. Was pressured a lot. You look at this game, you look at the interception to Zach Bond, you look at that pick six to Cooper DeJean. Those are some plays that, if you get them back, you take points off the board from the Eagles. And you have a better shot. Like, Patrick Mahomes made things worse for the Chiefs in this game. He just looked too rattled. He stuck the joint up. And very similar to LeBron James' 2011 finals performance against the Mavs. Performances like this are going to stain the legacy for Patrick Mahomes. So, it was perfect for Tom Brady to be calling this game and watching this game. I know he was happy as hell because GOAT conversations for Patrick Mahomes were a little premature. He's having the best start to his career probably any player has had, but performances like this are really going to be what we look back at when his career is said and done and be like, when we're comparing it to Tom Brady's career, that it's not going to cut it. I don't think he'll get 7 Super Bowls either. We're going to be looking at like a Jordan versus LeBron conversation with Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, and people are going to look at the accolades for Patrick Mahomes and how he's changed the game and all the great things he's done, but they're going to look at, hey, rings, you're not catching up to him. So, I don't think he's going to get 7 Super Bowls, especially not with, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, all these great players in the league. Jalen Hurts more specifically because I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't think that Eagles team's going anywhere. And him getting a Super Bowl, getting that confidence, it's going to be big for his career and a potential Hall of Fame career brewing for him. So, things are going to get harder for the Chiefs. They have to reconstruct this offensive line. They have to make some changes. Brett Veach, you got to do some things. Trey Smith, you can't let a Trey Smith walk out the building now after this performance. Joe Tooney can't be your starting tackle. You need to put his ass back at guard. You need to make changes. So they need to heavily invest in the trenches. And it'll be interesting to see what they do this offseason. But this performance will stick with them until Game 1. So let me know down below, Patrick Mahomes, should he still be in GOAT conversations with Tom Brady? Jalen Hurts, are things going to ramp up with him being in conversations as a top quarterback, Hall of Fame career, all that stuff? Let me know down below. Some people thought the NFC North was going to be the worst division in football this season. They thought it was going to be as bad as the NFC South.